Hi everyone, my name is Caleb and I just completed the regionals tournament in Atlanta, Georgia. And I want to share some of my picks with people just because I feel like there isn't much talk about one particular one, which is Lugia. And I think it was really helpful in helping me win a lot of my matches. And hopefully, since it's early in the month, it could be useful for people in their regionals, or at least know what to expect when you go against one. In the tournament we had today, I believe there were 53 people, 50-ish people, and only one other person used Lugia. If you want to just go straight to the matches, just click on the timestamp that I have right here down below. But if you want to hear about the justification of what I picked and what movesets I used, just stick around for this portion. So first and foremost, I had Bastiodon, Smackdown with Flamethrower and Stone Edge. Pretty standard moveset, really tanky, can take out Skarmory, Melmetal. Does okay against Venusaur and some of the grass types. It beats Tropius, but Venusaur could beat it in shield situations. It's just really tanky in general. Obviously weak to both Whiscash and Medicham in the meta, so something to watch out for. But I really like it, and you'll see here, I don't really have a strong Skarmory counter, so that was kind of one of my main reasons for bringing that. I have Lugia. And the thing about Lugia is I did not run Dragon Tail like what most people would usually use Lugia for in general Great League stuff. For this meta, I actually ran Extra Sensory, Sky Attack, and Hydro Pump. The Extra Sensory was for the Medicham, for Haunters, and for Venusaur or any like poison types. Just because I don't really have any psychic attackers on my team besides Lugia's Extra Sensory fast move. Extra Sensory charges Sky Attack fairly quickly. I think it charges Sky Attack around the same rate as Dragon Tail, which is the other fast move, but it does a lot more damage to Venusaur, and sometimes you can farm energy off it, but Venusaur is kind of tricky because Sludge Bomb will take out at least about a third of Lugia's life, so it's something to watch out for. But really, really good counter for Medicham. Lugia, from my experience, can tank 2 Ice Punches from Medicham and still survive. And you need about 1 Sky Attack on, or about 1.5 Sky Attack essentially to take out Medicham at full health. But if it's already lost a lot of its life, or just your Extra Sensories, just that 1 Sky Attack is usually enough. Sometimes you could take it out most of its health with Sky Attack and then farm some additional energy with Extra Sensory. Counter and Power Punch does almost nothing to Lugia, which was the main reason why I picked it over Skarmory or some other traditional Medicham or meta relevant Medicham counters. I like it also because it beats Haunter if you have shields, or if they're just using Sucker Punch on you. If they have a Legacy Haunter with Shadow Ball or even Sludge Bomb, it'll do quite a bit of damage to Lugia, and also the Shadow Claw on Haunter is going to definitely hit Lugia fairly hard too. So that's definitely something to consider if you're deciding to go with Lugia or not. A big factor with Lugia that you always have to remember is that it actually loses to Skarmory. Having Hydro Pump will help if they don't shield the Hydro Pump, but if they do shield it, or if you just can't get to it in time, Skarmory's going to beat it almost every single scenario, especially with even shields. So that's something definitely to consider, but Skarmory can get beat by Medicham with shields, so that's why I actually prefer Lugia when I was test running it about a week ago. This is really the main highlight is Lugia, because looking on Discord and looking on Silph Arena's Reddit thread, I really haven't seen much talk about Lugia. It's definitely anti-meta or even off-meta, if you could say that, just because it's just not really a standard pick, and it's just weak to a lot of other things. But if you're using it against Medicham or Venusaur or some other poison types, it's actually very, very good. And you'll see in the footage on how I use it. Medicham, of course, counter Power Punch and Ice Punch. You know, I know some teams don't run with a Medicham, but I like to have it just because just having the threat of Medicham consistently is definitely a really good thing to have on your team of 6. And obviously, Metachamp beats a bunch of steel types, even some some unfavorable matchups too. Whiscash, so I actually originally had Lantern in this lineup, but I decided to switch out and put Whiscash in it. And the main reason is because you'll see Azumarill and Whiscash as well. And so a lot of people will often bring their grass counter, which is Venusaur, Ivysaur, even Tropius. And so having Whiscash will force them to bring that grass counter, which Lugia is also good against. And so you'll see the way I built my team. I have Bastiodon and Whiscash, right? And so a lot of people will tend to bring a grass type to either counter the Whiscash and Azumarill and potentially Bastiodon. But if they don't and they go the route of Metachamp taking out Bastiodon, I have Lugia there too, right? So essentially, I think in almost every one of my matches today, I brought Lugia because it's going to be useful against either Metachamp or Venusaur or whatever grass type they bring. I think there were definitely some matches where they didn't do this, and that definitely, was a little tricky to use Lugia, but yeah, so that was definitely one of the reasons why I brought Whiscash. Whiscash also completely walls off Bastiodon. Pretty much, if a Bastiodon at full health has 2 shields and Whiscash has 0, it'll still beat Bastiodon. Like, it is that strong. I really struggle against Whiscash with my Bastiodon because Flamethrower and Stone Edge just hit it for not a very effective damage. And something to note is also when you switch in a Whiscash, if you have like a bad first matchup with Bastiodon, or whatever it may be, if they bring in Venusaur, if it has Vine Whip, you could actually get to that Blizzard before they hit you with a Frenzy Plant. And so that's really important because they either burn a shield in that scenario or you just completely wipe out that Venusaur, right? And you take it by surprise because they might think you're bluffing with a Mud Bomb. If it's a Razor Leaf Venusaur, that probably won't happen because you'll be able to take out Whiscash beforehand. Razor Leaf Tropius, same thing, I think. But so that actually, I almost actually went with Razor Leaf Venusaur for that reason. But so Whiscash, very strong pick, also beats Melmetal, and it charges so quickly that it can spam down Azumarill if you have some shield advantage. And also 2 Blizzards can take out Skarmory, and like I said, my Skarmory counters are kind of weak too, so having that Blizzard can definitely do some damage there too. Venusaur, I have Vine Whip, Frenzy Plant, and Sludge Bomb on it. Pretty standard moveset. Having Venusaur or having just any grass counter on your team is really, really important. I actually did go against someone today that didn't have any grass counters. And they actually did take a match off of me too. So so you could definitely roll without a grass counter, but I would definitely recommend having one, just because it just having the threat of it can be helpful. And the last one is Azumarill. And so Azumarill, you can roll with multiple different variations of the charge move. So I went with Bubble, obviously, for the fast move. And then I had Play Rough and Hydro Pump as the charge moves. And the reason why I went with Play Rough and Hydro Pump was because not having Ice Beam is definitely going to hurt in terms of for shield baiting purposes and to beat Venusaur or any other grass types you might go and counter with, or even if there's some dragon types and stuff too. Although Play Rough tend to be able to cover like Dragonair or Altaria, stuff like that. They're not as common in this meta, but definitely maybe something to run into. But I decided to stick with Play Rough for sure, just because in the mirror matchup with Azumarill, which happened quite a few times today, you need Play Rough to win it or even stay on pace with them. And then the Hydro Pump is really for the counter for Skarmory. Also, sometimes if you hit them with a Hydro Pump on like Melmetal or some other things, you can really surprise them too. Also, great against Bastiodon as well, because there are quite a few matches where I just didn't bring Metacham, and I think I might have not brought both Metacham and Whiscash, but this gives you a third option to counter Bastiodon. And going against a Bastiodon too with Azumarill, it could always be stressful for the Bastiodon user, because you don't know if they're going to hit you with a Ice Beam / Play Rough or if they actually have Hydro Pump. So having that option proved to be really helpful. I actually had Ice Beam last night and I TM'd it with my last charge TM too. So I really couldn't go back after that, but ended up working out. So getting into the matches, we'll be able to see kind of how I play around with Lugia especially, and then kind of some other things too. And hopefully this can be helpful for anyone that still has a Regionals Cup in the upcoming weeks. So in this first match, I go against Ayama Passenger. I went against him in the Boulder Cup too, so I know he's definitely a strong opponent. Also, something to note is a lot of my matches I went to Game 3 too, which I believe this one did too. So you see here, it's a Bastiodon Mirror. My lineup for this one, let me just pull it up real quick, is Bastiodon, Lugia, and Medicham. I was reading the Lugia for the Medicham and the Ivysaur. As you can see here, he actually uses Stone Edge on my Bastiodon in this mirror matchup, which is not usually the preferable move. Flamethrower does more damage in a Bastiodon mirror. My guess is he probably just didn't have the second move unlocked, or maybe he had Flash Cannon. But anyway, so I'm just going to stay in this matchup just because I have the HP lead, and there's not really a huge reason to shield at this point, just because they are Stone Edges as well too. So yeah, so Bastiodon mirrors take a second to get through. But yeah, so as you can see in this lineup too, he also has a Alolan Muck. And I actually haven't practiced against a Alolan Muck. I practiced against Kanto Muck in preparation to this. But yeah, so I really wasn't too familiar with what movesets it has. I figured it'd probably have some like Acid Spray or some dark moves, as well as Poison Jab. So I think he probably brought that for a Azumarill counter. So came out with the Medicham real quick, and so I went straight to Lugia. So here's where you can see Lugia's potency, especially against a Medicham. So use the Power Punch. I mean, potentially it could bait out a shield against a Lugia user, but if you use Lugia enough, you'll know that you could take that first Ice Punch and be okay. And so I often don't shield that first one anyway, just because even if they Ice Punch me, it's not the end of the world. And so here he goes with another Power Punch. I don't know if he's trying to bait out a shield, or he wasn't familiar with Lugia, or he maybe didn't have Ice Punch, or could be a number of reasons. But either way, it's just a tough matchup in general for any Medicham user. So right here, I believe it's another Power Punch. I just don't shield this. My main purpose of Lugia was to counter Medicham, so I pretty much got that done. And I'm currently up 2 shields to 0, so I'm in a pretty comfortable situation right now, and have a little bit extra charge on there. And so I think here he comes out with a Alolan Muck. Yeah, I didn't really know what moveset it had, so I wasn't sure. So I probably could have stayed in there just because it was Poison Jab. I kind of just let this just take my Bastiodon out. I could have shielded and just hit it with a Flamethrower, so that might have been a slight misplay. But I was just like, all right, I already have a Sky Attack charged up, so I might as well just go back in right after the clock was countdown. And I know that Alolan Muck's only weak to ground too, so I was just trying to get, just trying to take it out with Sky Attack for neutral damage. And yeah, so that's pretty much how that ended. And against the Bastiodon, this is not a favorable matchup for Lugia by any means, but my Bastiodon still had extra health left, and I still have, or sorry, not my Bastiodon, my Medicham, and so Medicham against Bastiodon is an easy win. So yeah, so I won the first one. And then we go into match 2, and I believe I went with I went with Lugia, Whiscash, and Azumarill in this one. I didn't really see his Ivysaur much, so I was thinking like maybe he's, like some people have certain Pokemon they prefer in lineups, and so I was thinking maybe he just didn't bring it. So yeah, not a great matchup against Azumarill versus Lugia, just because Ice Beam will take out Lugia pretty quickly. Hydro Pump will take out Lugia pretty quickly, just because it's just not as tanky. And so I switched right away to Azumarill, which was good because he hit me with Ice Beam. So definitely would have taken down probably at least like half of Lugia's life, if not more. So yeah, just doing the Azumarill mirror match. And then he switches, and here he brings an Ivysaur. So not the best situation, just because it's also got Razor Leaf, so it's hitting my Azumarill pretty hard. And this play rough's not going to do very effective damage. So in one of these situations, Ice Beam probably would have been useful. And he didn't shield it either. So I don't know if he knew my moveset on the Azumarill from before. I think he might just guess that it wasn't Ice Beam. I don't know. But that definitely could have took out the Ivysaur had it been Ice Beam. But good play on him for not falling for the shield bait. And here I use Lugia and take out Ivysaur just because I just didn't want to get hit by a Sludge Bomb or whatever. I think it's Grass Knot. Grass Knot's not as bad, but Sludge Bomb can definitely do some damage to Azumarill. Here I felt pretty comfortable. Wish Cash against Bastiodon. I was trying to farm up a lot of energy here. And you'll see this is kind of, I mean, it was okay to a degree. My main thing is because I knew Azumarill was his last pick, I kind of had to take it out with Mud Bombs and Lugia's Sky Attack. So not the easiest way to take out Azumarill, especially because it's so tanky. So that's why I'm just trying to keep this Wish Cash alive as long as possible. Pretty much, I'm hoping this Wish Cash survives long enough for me to bring it back in against a Bastiodon or just survive in general. Which is not, yeah, because if I'm stuck with Bastiodon versus Lugia, that's a game over. So I'm just trying to like drag out the time a little bit and just spam down the Mud Bombs. I forgot the shield scenario here. I think, yeah, so he shielded that one too. And I shield this again because I need to keep this Wish Cash alive for that Bastiodon. I didn't really have any energy charge here, so probably should have charged a little bit more energy if looking back on it. But you know, I also didn't want the Azumarill to charge up too much energy for Ice Beam because I knew I had it. So I used Sky Attack. I probably should have charged more on the Wish Cash now I think about it, because I think my Lugia could survive an Ice Beam. And here's a big mistake I made too, and this actually cost the match. So I'm trying to get to Hydro Pump because like, oh, I'll just take out this Bastiodon because it's quite a bit of life. Not a great idea. Just because it took me out with Stone Edge and I just built up that charge, you know, for not much. So right here, I definitely have a health disadvantage against Bastiodon. I know Wish Cash is good against it, but I knew that I was still far away from getting another Mud Bomb, and I was just like, okay, if he hits me with this, I'm pretty much done, and he does. So if you look at Bastiodon's life right there, that Sky Attack probably would have been enough to the point where my Wish Cash could have just taken it down with Mud Bomb and Mud Shots. Good match from Ayama Passenger there. Good calls there on his end. So we're into match 3 here. And this is Azumarill versus Alolan Muck. Not a good setup just because he's got Poison Jab. I assume he probably has some poison moves. So I just quickly switch to Medicham. I wasn't sure how this one would play out. I had a feeling it was probably a Dark Pulse or Dark Move, which is, I mean, hits Medicham for neutral. I forgot it was actually Psychic, so I thought it was resisted because it was fighting. But regardless, so I go with Power Punches here just to see how much it does, because I know that Kanto Mug counters Medicham fairly well, but because Alolan Mug has that Dark typing as well too, it's taking neutral from Power Punch. So right here, pretty much have to shield this if I want to keep my Medicham alive, and I kind of want the info on like what his next Pokemon is first. So I want to take out this Alolan Muck and not let my Medicham die in that scenario. And oh, I forgot what I went with. Yeah, so I went with Azu, Cham, and Lugia for this matchup. So no Wish Cash this time. Okay, so here I am with Lugia against Ivysaur. Very favorable matchup. So I was almost going just for neutral damage just to farm. Okay, so he brought Bastiodon, and this is where the Hydro Pump Azumarill comes in really handy. Yeah, oh, okay, I thought I was going to shield bait. But yeah, so I just go straight for the Hydro Pump. I think just because, I'm not really sure why. Okay, well, I guess, because he could have, I think if he shielded that one, that could have made my life a little bit harder. But at the same time, too, I was fairly confident I could get to another Hydro Pump, even if he did shield it. Worked out, and now I could just hit it with Play, or I think I just farmed. Okay, I just farmed the energy on that. A little bit risky, but I felt pretty good about it. I probably should just hit Play Rough just because my Lugia could have taken out the Ivysaur. So that was probably too risky of a play in my opinion, looking back on it. Just because, yeah, I would have had the matchup lead anyway with Lugia versus Ivysaur. Yeah, so right here you'll see Lugia taking out the grass types and yeah, getting to a Sky type pretty quickly too right after this, or right after the shield. I wouldn't recommend using Power Whip in general. I don't know if he has Sludge Bomb or something else, or maybe he just couldn't get to Sludge Bomb in time, just because I know Rage Leaf charges a little bit slower. But yeah, so not a great scenario for Ivysaur being, but good match with Ayama Passenger, and so that was our first match. Second match is Stand Pokemon. And so in this matchup, looking at his counters, I went with Lugia, Bastiodon, and Medicham. And so I went with Medicham just because it seemed like his main counters are Skarmory and Alolan Marowak. I haven't actually practiced against Alolan Marowak in my practice matches. Oh yeah, and so you can see here I was actually trying to switch out, but I just was not able to do it quick enough, or just I just wasn't pressing fast enough. So I'm trying to switch out at this point, just because it's just not good for a Lugia to be in against a Skarmory, like I mentioned before. So yeah, so if he had a Medicham in this situation, it probably would have been would take him up Bastiodon right away. But Venusaur also can do quite well against Bastiodon. I'm not really sure why he didn't shield in that scenario. But yeah, so that and then he used Sludge Bomb too. So I think usually in these scenarios you want to use Frenzy Plan. Maybe he didn't have a Frenzy Plan one. I don't know. But yeah, so that definitely gave me a slight lead despite a poor first matchup. And then right here, Skarmory against Bastiodon. It's usually a winning match for Bastiodon unless you could get off like Flash Cannons fast enough. I know that even if it's a Flash Cannon, I can take it, so I just kind of let it go. And he does hit me with a Flash Cannon. So yeah, so I knew I could survive that. And right at this point, I think I was also trying to farm some additional energy, which seems to be a trend I do, which is definitely a risky play. Okay, yeah. So I shield right here, and then now I just went for the Flamethrower. Actually, following the Flamethrower probably would have been the best time to farm some energy, just because he just depleted all his energy. But he shielded that, so I'm just going to try to take him down with neutrals. At this point, I think I let it go because I had a feeling that it was going to be Sky Attack instead of Flash Cannon based on how fast he charged it, and I have a sliver of health left, and so I was able to get the edge on that Skarmory right there, and then I came out with a Stone Edge against a Melmetal. So I just kind of went for a blind Stone Edge just because I didn't know what it was going to hit me with. I thought maybe it was going to be a little Marowak. I don't really know, but I just went for it just for the neutral damage. Right here I have a Medicham, so Medicham's going to take out Melmetal pretty quickly, especially when he doesn't have shields, and so I just shield just to be safe. But that's always going to be a good matchup for Medicham in that scenario. Yeah, and then you'll see that this Power Punch is going to take out the Melmetal. Yeah, so definitely interesting match right there. Did he? Yeah, so he did not. Oh yeah, he did bring the Venusaur. So in the second one, I decided to go Lugia, Azumarill, and Whiscash. My thought was I was just going to try this and see. Having a bad favorable matchup, having a bad first matchup against Skarmory, it's okay because I was just going to safe switch to Azumarill. And like I said, my Azumarill has Hydro Pump, so it can definitely take out a Skarmory that doesn't shield it shield the Hydro Pump. But he does switch out, and I'm going against a Melmetal. So right here, like I mentioned earlier when I was discussing my lineup, Hydro Pump can definitely take people off guard when you're going against Melmetal and stuff. So it hits a lot for neutral damage against Melmetal. So right here, just going to keep my Azumarill alive at this point because I'm like, okay, might as well. Just because I could take down this Melmetal at this point with just fast attacks or just bubble, and it'll give me some energy banked up for the next thing that comes out, which could be a Skarmory, could be something else. Like I said, my team is really weak against Skarmory, and I pretty much only have a Azumarill as a counter against Skarmory at this point for this matchup, so I really need to take out the Skarmory quickly. I throw the Play Rough down just to bluff out a shield, which ended up working, just because now that he's seen that I have Hydro Pump, it's definitely a possibility, and so he can't gamble as much with that. I let my Azumarill die just because I think I wasn't confident that I could get to a Hydro Pump fast enough. So right here, I decided to go with Lugia against Skarmory. So he has I have a slight HP advantage here. And here, I'm just going to hit it with Hydro Pump just and hope that he doesn't shield this because Hydro Pump would do a decent amount of damage. And he does shield it. Yeah. So, I let this one go. the Sky Attack. So I did a quick switch on Wish Cash, which was just an animation glitch. But yeah, so I got hit with a Sky Attack, and then I used the Wish Cash. And my thinking here is, if I get to the Blizzard, I'll be okay, because he doesn't have shields, and it'll be able to take him out. Sky Attack does a decent amount of damage against Wish Cash, so that's why I was just really trying to hope for it to take it out. So he actually switched really quickly into Medicham. And so that actually was not so great for Medicham, just because Blizzard definitely does a lot more damage. But Medicham is definitely a stronger, has a stronger matchup against Wish Cash. So I was a little bit nervous about that, but I got off the Mud Bomb before fast enough, or I had charged my priority in that situation. So that took out Medicham. I kind of actually wish that I didn't hit it with the Mud Bomb in some ways, because Skarmory could farm a little bit off of that. But from here, I was like, okay, I need to get this Hydro Pump, just because I wasn't sure if Sky Attack would take out Skarmory. So I got to Hydro Pump, and that's game. So GG. Definitely could have lost that one in the end. Like I said, running a Lugia in my lineup definitely is weak to Skarmory. So here we have a match with Smizmiach. So this is game 3. Yeah, so I end up going Lugia, Azumarill, and Wish Cash. And the main reason for that is because I didn't see any grass counters on his team. And so here I'm going to... so I actually meant to switch into Azumarill, and I misclicked onto Wish Cash, which I actually did a couple times today, which was unfortunate. So I went to Wish Cash. Not a great matchup, because it takes a while to get to Blizzard, even with Mudshot. And Mudshot's doing like almost no damage to Skarmory. So at this point, I'm like, I need to bait out a shield. And I do, right? So it worked out there. And at this point, I'm going to shield it, just because I have a Blizzard on deck, pretty much like right after Sky Attack. So if I could get it off and do some damage, that'd be helpful. But if not, he at least burns a second shield. Yeah, so he doesn't, right? So he doesn't shield that one. He might have thought it was a bluff, or just probably wanted to save his second shield. And luckily, I get to the Mud Bomb in time. And so this definitely helped save me, because it let me take out the Skarmory, and then I kind of have some info on like what his next thing is going to be. Right here, I actually can't remember what I go with. I think it's so I'll just try and think like what his next Pokemon can be, just because if it's a Medicham, that's not great, just because I mean, against Azumarill, I think it would have been okay. So he actually does a swap right here into Haunter. So this is one of those matches where I was talking about earlier, where against a Haunter, which may be in a lot of people's teams, Lugia can win if you have shields and you shield the right things. And so I'm already at half health, so I kind of need to shield it. But luckily, I get to a Sky Attack faster than he could get to a Sucker Punch or a Shadow Ball, whatever he was going for. And so right here, I feel pretty good. I just don't shield this, just because even if it's a Blizzard, which it was, I have at least Azumarill against Wish Cash, and this is a pretty positive matchup for Azumarill, especially with additional shield. I don't really know why I didn't shield that one, actually, but yeah. So here I just need to get to that Hydro Pump, and then that's pretty much it for Wish Cash. So Smizmiach is the guy that I mentioned that didn't have any grass counters, and so I was thinking, hey, like, I'm just going to bring both my waters again, you know, like it should be easy. So I go Lugia, Azumarill, and Wish Cash again. And so I actually lose this one. And so looking into it. So he went with Azumarill. Like I said, I don't really, regardless of the moveset, if it's Hydro Pump or Ice Beam on Azumarill, I think it still beats Lugia. So definitely not a good idea. So I just opt for the Azumarill Mirror, just because I have Wish Cash as well, and that just doesn't do as much damage. I brought Wish Cash, now that I'm thinking about it, for this matchup with him, because it beats both Haunter and Bastiodon, and I had a feeling he's going to bring one or the other, and so I felt pretty good about bringing Wish Cash, and also, you know, not having a grass type. So that's why I had that as my third. So we're just going play rough for the most part at this point. I think I have a slight lead on health in this situation, and so I think he's just going to sack the Azumarill, and I kind of want to keep it alive. I don't remember why. I think it's probably because in case there's a Skarmory. Like I said, my team is weak to Skarmory, so I kind of need as many Skarmory counters as I can. But looking at this, I probably shouldn't have shielded that. Well, I guess, let's see. Okay, no. Yeah, I should have shielded that because if I didn't, I would have definitely lost this matchup against the mirror matchup, and then you'll have a slight advantage coming in on knowing what to go in with. I should have maybe farmed a little bit more energy right before because I knew he just used play rough, so he probably couldn't get to another one fast enough. That might have helped me get to play rough in time for this Haunter. But you know, hard to say. So Haunter against Whiscash, good matchup for Whiscash just because the ground is super effective against Haunter. But very good switch from Smizmiyash right here. So I pretty much just wasted that charge energy. And so this is definitely an unfavorable situation because, like I said, Lugia is not good against Skarmory. And so here I'm building up to Hydro Pump, and what I really should have done was just gone for the bluff. But I chose not to, and I'm not even shielding, so definitely not good. So I should have just bluffed with Sky Attack instead of used straight for Hydro Pump, and that probably would have helped. But so Smizmiyash properly shielded this, so good play by him. And I'm just trying to get to a Sky Attack at this point, and I do, and you'll see this is why Lugia isn't as strong against Skarmory, because Skarmory resists the Sky Attack. He actually, did he shield that, or maybe it's just not very effective damage? Yeah, I don't think he shielded that. But yeah, so I have a shield advantage, but my Whiscash is already like half health, and so one Sky Attack is gonna just be enough to take it out. So even if I take out this Whiscash, or sorry, this Skarmory with Blizzard, it's gonna be tough against Haunter. Yeah, and I was a little nervous about farming extra energy on this matchup versus Skarmory just because Sky Attack can get charged fairly quickly, and then yeah, Haunter right here got to the charge move before I could get to Mud Bomb, and that is GG. So definitely threw me in for a loop because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to lose with 2 waters against a non-grass lineup. But props to Smizmiyash for that gameplay. And yeah, I've actually haven't gone against Smizmiyash a couple times. He's a local in Atlanta as well too. Definitely a very solid player too. Okay, so going here, there's a little bit of lag. I don't really know if he was experiencing or not either, but it resumed, so we didn't really do a reset or anything. Not a great matchup if he has Hydro Pump. My guess is he did because he stayed in the matchup, so I just go with the shield. I actually almost didn't shield it because I was just thinking. I was like, okay, good thing I shielded. So I go with the Azumarill matchup here, knowing that he's on probably neutral energy at this point because he just used a Hydro Pump. And so here he switches to Haunter. So I forgot to mention, in this lineup, I decided to go with Bastiodon, Azumarill, and Lugia just because I haven't seen his Whiscash nor Medicham yet. So I was like, let me just switch it up just because I've been losing these like first lead matches, like matchups every single time, and I did again just now with Azumarill and Bastiodon. But I was like, you know, like I need to switch it up because if I keep doing it like this, I'm probably gonna lose game 3 too. So right here, I just let him hit me with the Sludge Bomb because I have Lugia, so I could take that out, yeah, I was definitely a little nervous. Oh, okay, no, never mind. So I went with Bastiodon here because Bastiodon could tank the hits a little better. If I went with Lugia, it probably would have taken out more of my health here. At this point, I don't even know his third Pokemon, so I was definitely stressing out a little bit because we both had 1 shields, but he has a Azumarill, which can take out both Lugia and Bastiodon. So I go with the Stone Edge and I go with a quick switch to Lugia just because yeah, I'm hoping that I could. So my plan here is I'll take out Azumarill with my Lugia, and yeah, so you can see right here, Hydro Pump does quite a bit of damage. Charges a little bit slower than Ice Beam, so Ice Beam is definitely preferable if you have that. But I didn't shield that just because I figured I'd survive it, and so he doesn't shield that as well, and we go into Skarmory versus Lugia. So this time around, I'm just going to go straight for the Sky Attack just because I don't think I get the Hydro Pump in time. I learned my lesson from my first matchup against that Bastiodon. Yeah, so he goes with the Sky Attack here. Probably could have held on to that a little bit, but yeah, I get it. He's got to go against the Bastiodon too, so you don't want to take any more damage from the Lugia. Yeah, definitely a stressful situation right here, because if you look at it here, it's looking at the health, one Flash Cannon will do it, and I'm thinking, is he going for a Sky Attack or Flash Cannon? He goes with Sky Attack, and so now I'm like, okay, so he has more built up energy because he didn't use Flash Cannon, so he potentially can still get to, if he gets another Sky Attack, it'd be close. Luckily, I get to Flamethrower in time. Yeah, and so that helped me win the matchup right there. So good game to Smizmiach. Almost beat me in this matchup too, so it's very, very close. But yeah, so right here we have I'm playing against Grizzweezy, and not a great matchup for me just because it's Azumarill versus Lantern. I was struggling a little bit on the switch screen, so I was trying to get to Medicham. I didn't think he was going to bring Lantern just because I had to Wish Cash, and I don't know. I really didn't think he would, but he did, and so that was definitely a good call on his end. I went with Azumarill, Medicham, and Lugia in this, and so I figured I could probably safe switch Medicham if it came to that, because it'd be either against Azumarill or against Skarmory. And so against Skarmory, Medicham is just so strong that it could take out Skarmory with shields, which is pretty ridiculous because it's weak to flying. But yeah, so the power punches will definitely do a lot of damage to Skarmory. And it's so tricky when you use Skarmory too, because like power punches charge so quick, like it just feels like almost a waste to like shield it, but it chunks down the health pretty quickly. So I double shield here, and I think we're both, yeah, so this is yeah, not a great situation here. So I switch straight to the Azumarill. I need this because I have a Lugia and in the back, and so I just can't risk if he took out my Medicham right there, it would have been probably over, because this Lantern would have taken out probably both my Azumarill and Lugia, or if not most of my Lugia, and he could finish off with a third. So I literally switched a water Pokemon into a Thunderbolt, knowing that I could clear the energy and then use Medicham with Power Punch to take out Lantern. So that's pretty much what I do right here, and I get it off just in time. Yeah, having like using Medicham as a Lantern counter is not ideal, but it's not too bad. And also he has Charge Beam too, right? Charge Beam, Lanterns charge much faster. So right here, I feel pretty good. If he brought a Bastiodon or something, it would have been game over. He brought Medicham. And so he brought Medicham, and having Lugia, you know, it's pretty strong. And the advantage of Lugia is also a lot of people don't know the matchup as well too, so like they don't realize the Power Punch might not do as much damage, and you see right there, it didn't do that much. But even if he used Ice Punch, it still wouldn't have done that much. Like it still would have been enough to take him out. So he just opted for another Power Punch too. But yeah, so that's game for game 1. In game 2, I decided to go with the same lineup, just because it seemed to work. I also didn't think he'd lead Lantern again, but he leads Lantern again with Charge Beam. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go do the same play again. Great call on his end there, just because it just definitely threw me off. So go for the Medicham, build up a little bit of energy before his Skarmory come out, so that always is helpful, just because if you have a slight energy lead going into the Skarmory Medicham matchup, with shields you can come out on top with Medicham. So it just depends on how many shields he's going to use this time. If he were, because it pretty much is like deja vu at this point. We are replaying exactly what game 1 did. So he shielded there. Good call on him also to not shield the first Power Punch, just because the Power Punches end up doing more and more damage, I believe, right? Because yeah, the attack side goes up unless it's just the fast move. I might need to double check on that, but I think yeah, I believe the Power Punches should do progressively more and more damage as well too. So Okay, so this is kind of tricky too because if you see, my switch clock is not fully up yet, so I'm like, I can't just switch back into Azumarill if he brought out Lantern again. So he brings out Venusaur instead, and so at this point I felt pretty good because well, one, he's going to go off, he's going to clear out his energy with this Frenzy Plant, and then here Lugia's time to shine against Grass user. I have a shield advantage. Venusaur's already low on health as well, so I'm literally just going to sit here and farm the energy. I forgot if you use Frenzy Plant or Sludge Bomb. Okay, so Frenzy Plant, a decent amount of damage, are not very effective. But yeah, so I shield this because this is a quick swap. But Sludge Bomb is probably more preferable for the Venusaur situation. So I swap into the Azumarill. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't really have a strong counter to Lantern, so I was actually slightly nervous at this point too, because if he takes out this Azumarill before I could take out his Lantern, he's going to be going up against Lugia with Charge Beam. And so luckily I get to it, because if I didn't take out this Lantern, that probably would have been very close. Yeah, so right here, Venusaur pretty much almost dead, and I just go straight for the Sky Attack at this point. And that's the game. So worked out pretty well for this one. Like I said, Lugia is a great counter to both Medicham and Venusaur, so having him bring that in the third slot was definitely crucial. So this is where my video recordings unfortunately kind of go downhill, which is very unfortunate because I'm going into match 5. And at this point, there were 3 people that were undefeated, including myself. And so I was going against the first one. I was undefeated, which was Fish Sticks. So Fish Sticks, I don't know what happened. I was recording. I thought I recorded and maybe it didn't. This is my first time making a YouTube video as well too, for Pokemon Go. So I think I just forgot to record, to be honest. And so this game actually went to match 3. And it was a really great match too, because he had a Raichu and he used it in 2 of the matches. And I wish I remembered the order of events, but I believe he won the first game for sure, and part of it was with the Raichu, because the Raichu took out, what would it take out? I think I brought Lugia, Azumarill, and maybe Bastiodon, but the Raichu took out the Azumarill towards the end, and I don't know, I just did not play that well, and as someone that used Raichu in Tempest too, and he had Thundershock Raichu, which is Legacy, and it charges super quick. So I had a strong feeling that it was going to be hitting pretty hard. Second match, he did not bring Raichu, and I think he brought Venusaur in that situation, and I somehow take it out with probably Lugia, some combination of that. And then in the third match, I bring in Whiscash because I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to bring in Whiscash and see what I can do. And so I think I brought in Whiscash in the end, and so I think what happened, I think this match was I brought Whiscash as a safe switch, and he must have led Azumarill or Skarmory or something that was unfavorable. So I safe switch into I led with Lugia, and I say safe switch into Whiscash, and the Whiscash got to a Blizzard before the Venusaur got to Frenzy Plant. And so I'm like, I'm going to take a shield, or best case scenario, I take it out. And so he thought I was bluffing, and the Blizzard ended up taking out the Venusaur. And then right after that, at some point in time, the Whiscash went against the Raichu, and it took it out too. So ended up winning that match. Definitely was a close match, back and forth too. And I really appreciate when people bring like anti-meta or off-meta picks like Raichu and stuff, just because it definitely makes things interesting. And it's for someone that is familiar or isn't familiar with those Pokemon, or even is, as someone that used Raichu a lot, even though I was familiar, I just never really practiced against one while practicing regional. So I didn't know how well my lineup held up against it, and it was definitely an interesting pick. And I believe Fish Sticks, I think went 5-1, I think, in the tournament too, so or maybe 4-2 at the very least. So definitely a very strong opponent there. So going into my last matchup, yeah, I messed up the recording, and only recorded, I think, the first match. Yeah, because I think we had some issues, so we had to back out and like resend, and somehow my voice screen recorder just stopped working. So this was either the first or second match, and I think it was the first one. Robbie was going into this. I think he already lost one, but I know that he's a pretty strong opponent just based off of just from what I know from before. Yeah, and if you look at his lineup right here too, he had Tropius, which was the first Tropius I went against. And the thing with Tropius is you don't know if it has Razor Leaf or Wing Attack, I think is the thing, or Air Cutter. Anyway, the fast move can be a flying move, so that could definitely take down Venusaur and catch people off guard. So I didn't know if that's why he won Tropius or not. He actually ended up having Razor Leaf on it. And he's got Quagsire, Sableye, Melmetal, pretty much like 3 out of the 6 Pokemon I just did not even go against today. And I pretty much never really practiced against a Quagsire. So in this matchup, I know both first match and second match I go Lugia, Azumarill, and Whiscash. And so yeah, the double water is definitely a little tricky here, just because if he brought Tropius, he could take out both Azumarill and Whiscash, especially because my Azumarill does not have Ice Beam. But I just went with it just in case, just to see, because I was, again, safe switching into Azumarill. He doesn't know I don't have Ice Beam too, so if he brought in Tropius, he might at least burn a shield on that, and then that way I could farm a little bit energy off of the Tropius with Lugia was my plan. So yeah, so this is the first match, and then first 2 matches, I think we literally go the same lineup both times. So I went first open with Lugia, just because I could protect it if it wasn't a favorable matchup. So right here, it was, I think actually this might be my last matchup with him. I think that's what it was. Okay, so he goes anyway, regardless. Yeah, I go Whiscash here, after swapping, after he swapped in Melmetal. And Whiscash can tank a lot from Melmetal. I think it definitely tanks Bastiodon more, just because, I don't know, it's just Bastiodon doesn't charge as fast. But I figure I could farm a decent amount of energy off of his Melmetal. I didn't want to play too risky, so I started just using the Mud Bomb, because if he shields this Mud Bomb, that could be bad, because I'm farming energy, and now I might have to do more. So, so right here, I'm just trying to take it out with Mud Shot, and I don't shield this, which I was pretty confident that Rock Slide wouldn't take it out, and it does not. So right here, that's good. And then I wasn't sure what he was going to come up with next, but whatever it was, maybe it was Medicham. Let me see. Okay, so I go with the Mud Bomb, and I think I was trying to bait out a shield, and which, yeah, he went for it, just because if it was a Blizzard, could be really bad. And so right here, I actually didn't shield this, and so even though I could have got another Mud Bomb off, I didn't, because I was like, you know, I have Lugia, and Lugia can take out Medicham. That's the whole purpose of it, right? Whiscash did his job by taking out Melmetal. And so, yeah, so at this point, no shields, Medicham versus a Lugia, and so I'm like, I'm just going to farm this energy. I think he was going for Ice Punch too, and so I shielded that purposely, because this means I could farm more energy, but I think I might have accidentally hit Sky Attack, or I don't know. I don't really know why I did that. I probably should have farmed it more. He switches out to Sableye, and so Sableye, very hard counter to Lugia, but it's a little glassy, so I hit it with the Sky Attack first, and that switched to Azumarill. And at this point, I know Azumarill can tank any hits that, what do you call it, that Sableye's using. So right here, I just use Bubble and pretty much take it out. Oh, I think I was scared of another charge move. I don't know. I just didn't want to like risk it too much, just because I knew I had Lugia in the hole for Medicham as well. And so right here, just use the fast moves and take out Medicham. I really wished that I got to the other matches. I filmed the other matches, especially against Robbie, just because he went with, I think, the same exact lineup in round 2. and I went with Lugia, Azumarill, and Wishcash again. And we did like the same leads as well, I think. I want to say, and so he actually beat me in the second match. And I think it was because I shielded. I think I shielded like a Sable attack or something. I was just like a shield disadvantage, and he somehow pulled it out, which was very impressive. And then in game 3, I think he had a poor. I don't think he had a great lead off, and yeah, and then I think I just capitalized on that. I don't even remember what I used in game 3, but I do know that I used Lugia, and I believe the Lugia took out both. I'm so sorry. I don't even know. I don't even know what he used in that matchup. But yeah, I don't know. It's so unfortunate just because that was such a good match, as well as the one with Fish Sticks that I didn't record. The other ones were really good too. I mean, as you can see, a lot of my matches are really, really close. I wish I had the footage, unfortunately. So, there you have it. That's pretty much the power of Lugia for regionals. I really, really enjoyed using Lugia. Did I use a match where I didn't use Lugia? I think I might have used Lugia. Wait, let me just double check. Yeah, I used Lugia in every single one of my matches. At least the ones I recorded. So maybe I didn't in some of the Fish Sticks matchup or against Robbie's last. No, I definitely did in Robbie's third match too. So I forgot what the Fish Sticks one. Maybe I swapped out Lugia. But anyway, Lugia, very versatile, having Hydro Pump, Sky Attack, and Extra Sensory for this matchup, for this cup. Definitely recommend Extra Sensory over Dragon Tail because of the Pokemon you'll likely see. Yeah, and hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, Lugia is definitely not for everyone. It is definitely hard to play around at times, especially when those Skarmory matches. I think it's probably why I had so many games go to game 3. I had, out of my 6 matches, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 go to game 3. And a number of them in game 3, I was very narrowly won. I could have lost at any point too. So, yeah, so definitely something to think about for regionals as you all may be prepping for it. Lugia for general Great League matches is probably not as strong, but I found quite a good niche for it. Something to note with Lugia too, for anyone that wants to get one that doesn't have one to try, is, I mean, obviously you need one from the breakthrough boxes, but you'll have to re-roll them down. And re-rolling a Lugia down is kind of a pain. I think it's a little bit easier than Cresselia. I don't know, it's about the same, I think, but I had to do a trade with not even a great friend, a good friend. Like, I literally met up with 2 people and we just friended right there and swapped a Lugia. I swapped a Lugia and I think they want something else. And it failed the first time too, and I think I got a second time or third time. So it costs definitely a good chunk of Stardust to swap a legendary at good friends. I think it's like 40,000. But I think it's well worth it if you have the Stardust to use and you would like to try out Lugia in this situation. Just because, yeah, I had a great time using it. So this is my first Pokemon Go PvP video that I've created. And it is running almost an hour long. So if you even made it to this point, let me know what you think. Was this useful? Was it not? And should I make more videos? Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy the PvP content for Pokemon Go. I think it's brought a lot of people closer in the community, and it's also given some something to work for those that enjoy PvP. Obviously, it's not for everyone. But yeah, so if you would like to see more PvP content, just let me know. Otherwise, this might just be a one-time video, just to tell everyone how great Lugia is for regionals, or at least how to counter Lugia if you may face one. Cool. So thank you for watching, especially if you made it to minute 54. Yeah. Hope you have a good one, and best of luck if you have regionals as well coming up.